The city was alive with noise and motion. Neon signs flickered on towering buildings, casting colorful reflections on the wet streets. People hurried in every direction, faces hidden beneath hoods and umbrellas, all focused on their own busy lives. Among the crowd, Mara walked carefully, holding the small hand of her daughter, Nia. The little girl was quiet and fragile, often keeping her eyes down to avoid bumping into others. Mara felt a protective weight in her chest. The city had changed in the last few years. It had grown bigger, faster, and sometimes dangerous. There were alleyways that seemed to swallow people without a trace, and not everyone had good intentions. Mara had learned to keep Nia close and to trust no one beyond the safety of their apartment. "Nia, stay close to me," Mara said softly, adjusting the girl's scarf. Nia nodded, her small eyes wide as she glanced around. She liked the lights and sounds, but the crowd made her anxious. As they turned a corner, a group of rough-looking teenagers blocked the path ahead. They leaned against walls, laughing loudly and shoving each other. Mara's heart thumped nervously. She could see the way they looked at Nia, curious, perhaps even mean-spirited. "Excuse me, please," Mara said, stepping forward. But her voice was quiet, almost drowned by the crowd. One of the teenagers smirked and stepped closer, blocking their way. "Where do you think you're going, little girl?" he asked, his voice rough. Nia shrank behind her mother. Mara's chest tightened. She wished she could disappear, wished the streets were safe again. But before she could say anything more, a soft glow appeared at the end of the street. It was not a light from a sign or a street lamp. It seemed alive, moving like a living flame. The crowd around them slowed, sensing something unusual. Mara blinked. Then she saw her, a tall figure, moving gracefully through the bustling street. The alien stopped in front of the teenagers. Her skin shimmered like silver-blue metal, and her eyes were bright, almost glowing. She had long, flowing hair that caught the light like liquid, and her movements were calm, but powerful. There was something in her presence that made the crowd step back, unconsciously giving her space. The teenagers laughed at first, thinking this stranger might be strange, but harmless. But when she lifted her hand slightly, the air seemed to hum. One of the troublemakers tried to push past her, but he stumbled backward as if invisible forces had stopped him. Mara gasped. Nia clutched her hand tighter, staring in awe. The alien's voice was soft but firm, almost musical. "Leave them be." It was not a threat. It was not an order. It was simply a statement. Yet it carried a weight that no one could ignore. The teenagers exchanged nervous glances. They had never met someone like this, and instinctively, they knew she was not ordinary. One of them muttered something under his breath and finally backed away. The others followed, shoving each other, whispering about the strange woman. Within moments, they disappeared into the crowd, leaving Mara and Nia standing alone. The alien turned to them, her eyes gentle now. She knelt slightly to be closer to Nia. "Are you hurt?" she asked. Her voice was calm, filled with warmth. Nia shook her head, still staring. "No, I'm okay." Mara stepped forward, her voice shaky. "Thank you. I don't know what to say. You saved us." The alien smiled faintly. "I saw you needed help. That is enough." Mara glanced at Nia. Her daughter's small face was filled with curiosity, and for the first time a spark of courage seemed to shine in her eyes. Nia stepped slightly forward as if drawn by the alien's calm presence. "What's your name?" Mara asked. "Cora," the alien replied simply. She straightened, towering above them. Her eyes swept the street, alert, as if she could sense more than what was visible. Then she looked back at them, calm and steady. "I will stay near until it is safe for you to continue." Mara's heart raced. She did not understand why, but she felt relief, a rare sense of safety in this city. Thank you, Cora. But you don't have to. You have your own world, your own life. Cora shook her head slightly. Sometimes the right choice is to help those in need, even if they are small and fragile. Nia's eyes were wide. She had never heard such words before. Something about Cora made her feel strong, even though she was tiny and shy. Mara noticed the way her daughter's fingers curled tightly around her hand, but with a spark of hope now shining through her nervousness. The city around them continued to move, people rushing past without noticing the small scene. Mara realized how isolated they had been, living in fear. But with Cora nearby, she felt a strange sense of protection, like nothing could touch them. Not here, not now. Cora stood, brushing light dust from her clothes. She looked back at Mara and Nia one more time. Stay close. The streets are not always safe, but courage grows in the smallest hearts. With that, she moved on, blending into the crowd. Mara wanted to call out to her, to ask her to stay, but she didn't. Somehow she knew this encounter was only the beginning. Nia, quiet and shy as ever, finally whispered, "Mom, she's amazing." Mara nodded, her own heart pounding. "Yes, Nia, she is. And maybe she will help us more than we realize." As the lights of the city flickered and the crowd moved around them, Mara held Nia's hand tighter, and for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of hope. They were no longer just small and fragile. Somewhere nearby, someone, something, strong and beautiful had chosen to watch over them, and Mara had no idea just how much that choice would change her daughter's life. The day after the encounter, Mara and Nia walked through the busy streets again, but the memory of Cora lingered like a bright spark. Nia kept glancing around, hoping to see the silver-blue figure again. Mara, while cautious, could not stop herself from feeling a strange sense of comfort. Someone had appeared who seemed stronger than the dangers of the city. "Do you think she'll come back?" Nia asked softly, her small hand gripping her mother's. "I don't know," Mara admitted. "But I hope so. She helped us yesterday." As they rounded a corner near the market, the same soft glow appeared in the distance. Nia gasped. Cora was there, standing calmly among the crowd, watching silently. Her eyes caught Mara's for a moment, then flicked to Nia with a gentle smile. "Hello again," Cora said as she approached. Her voice carried the same calm, musical tone. "Are you both safe today?" Mara hesitated. "Yes, but we don't understand why you care. Why help us?" Cora tilted her head slightly, as if considering the question. "I see courage, even in small hearts. That courage deserves protection." Nia stepped forward, her curiosity stronger than her shyness. "Will you teach me?" she asked. Her voice was small but steady. "I want to be brave like you." Cora's glowing eyes softened. "Bravery is not only in strength, it is in knowing fear and still moving forward. If you wish, I can guide you." Mara's heart thumped. Could a child really learn from someone so different, so powerful? Yet she saw Nia's face light up in a way Mara had never seen. The little girl's eyes sparkled with hope, and Mara felt a warmth inside her chest. Perhaps this was a chance for Nia to grow beyond the fragility that had always held her back. Cora led them to a quieter street, away from the noise of the crowd. Here she began with small lessons. First, she taught Nia how to notice the people around her, how to sense if someone's attention felt unfriendly or dangerous. Nia's brow furrowed as she tried to focus, but Cora's calm voice guided her step by step. "Feel the space around you," Cora instructed. "Do not only look. Notice movements, sounds, even subtle changes in the air. Your senses are your first defense." Nia practiced carefully, and soon she could sense when someone walked too close, even before the person entered her field of vision. Mara watched in amazement. Her daughter had always been timid, afraid of the smallest dangers. Now she was learning to notice the world differently, learning to prepare herself rather than just hide. The lessons continued. Cora showed Nia how to move quickly and silently through crowded areas, how to keep her balance on uneven streets, and how to use simple tricks to avoid attention. A small mind can be clever, Cora explained. Sometimes cleverness is stronger than strength. As they practiced, Mara noticed something unexpected. Nia began to stand taller, hold her head higher, and walk with a steadiness Mara had never seen. Cora's presence seemed to awaken a courage inside the little girl that had been hidden all along. Mara felt a mix of pride and awe. Her daughter was changing before her eyes. After a long day of practice, Cora led them to a small hidden park, away from the noisy streets. The alien sat on a bench, her long legs folded gracefully, watching the world with quiet patience. Nia sat beside her, cheeks flushed with excitement. "Will you really stay with us sometimes?" Nia asked. Her voice was full of hope. Cora's eyes softened. "I cannot always stay. My world is not yours, and my duties call me elsewhere. But when you need guidance, I will return, if I can. You are never truly alone when courage is with you." Mara placed her hand gently on Nia's shoulder. "You've given her something? More than safety," she said softly to Cora. "You've given her confidence." Cora's gaze shifted to Mara. "And she will grow. She has the potential to face dangers without fear. That is what matters." As the sun began to set, casting warm orange light over the park, the three of them sat together in quiet companionship. For Mara, it was a rare moment of peace. For Nia, it was the start of a transformation she did not yet fully understand, but felt deep in her heart. And for Cora, it was another day of purpose fulfilled, a choice to protect, to teach, and to guide small hearts toward strength. The next few days followed a similar rhythm. Cora would appear in the streets, guiding Nia through the city, teaching her how to notice danger and how to move with confidence. Mara watched, sometimes silently, sometimes asking questions. She saw that Nia's eyes no longer darted nervously at every shadow. Her hands no longer trembled when the crowd pressed around her. Step by step, lesson by lesson, Cora's presence helped Nia grow. But the city was not free from danger. Shadows lurked, and not every encounter would be as simple as yesterday's. Mara could sense it, a tension under the city's bright lights, a feeling that something beyond the ordinary might soon reach them. She did not say this to Nia, wanting her daughter to enjoy the moments of learning and hope. But Mara's protective instincts remained sharp, watching, always alert. One afternoon, as Cora guided Nia through a narrow street, a stray dog barked loudly from an alley. Nia froze for a moment and Cora held out a hand. "Fear is natural," she said gently. "Do not deny it. Use it to guide your actions, not control them." Nia took a deep breath, nodded, and continued walking. Mara's chest swelled with pride. Her daughter was learning not just to survive, but to move through the world with awareness and courage. Cora watched them for a moment longer, her silver-blue skin shimmering in the sunlight. "You are growing stronger," she said quietly, "stronger than you realize. Strength is not only in the body, it is in the mind, in the heart." As they reached the edge of the market, Mara noticed people glancing at Cora, whispering among themselves. Her presence still drew attention, but not fear this time. It was respect, admiration, and a hint of curiosity. Mara realized then that Cora's strength was not only in fighting danger, it was in inspiring it to be noticed and to be admired. That evening, Mara and Nia returned home. Nia's steps were lighter, her posture taller, and her eyes sparkled with a new confidence. She hugged Mara tightly. "Mom, I think I can be brave now," she whispered. Mara hugged her back, tears pricking at her eyes. "Yes, Nia, you can, and you're not alone. Not with Cora nearby, and not with me. As the night settled over the city, a soft glow appeared outside their window. Cora stood there for a moment, watching, before disappearing into the darkness. Mara and Nia exchanged a quiet look. They knew this was only the beginning of their journey, a journey that would bring courage, strength, and a bond that could not be broken. The city streets were still busy, still full of danger, but for the first time, Mara and Nia felt prepared. With Cora's guidance, the fragile little girl was beginning to change, and Mara could only wonder just how much stronger she would become. The city had changed since the first encounter with Cora. Mara could feel it in the way people moved, the way the lights flickered against the buildings, and the low hum of tension that seemed to hang in the air. The streets that once felt overwhelming now seemed navigable, at least for Nia. Her steps were steadier, her head held higher, and the fear that had gripped her like a shadow began to fade. But the city was never fully safe. Mara knew that, and she feared the day when danger would test Nia's newfound courage. It came sooner than she expected. One afternoon, Mara and Nia were walking toward the market to buy supplies when they noticed a narrow alleyway that looked darker than usual. Nia hesitated, but Mara took her hand firmly. "Stay close," she whispered. As they passed, two men stepped out from the shadows. Their faces were hidden by hoods, and their movements were slow, deliberate, and calculated. Mara's heart pounded. These were not the careless teenagers from before. Something about them felt sharper, more threatening. "Hand over your belongings," one of the men said, his voice low and commanding. Mara tightened her grip on Nia's hand. "Please, we don't want any trouble," she said, her voice trembling. The men stepped closer. Mara could feel the tension in the air, thick and heavy. Nia instinctively pressed closer to her mother, but Cora was nowhere in sight. Nia's small voice rose slightly, almost defiant. We're not afraid," Mara was startled by her daughter's courage. She looked down at Nia, surprised and proud. The little girl had learned so much already, yet the danger still felt real and overwhelming. Before the men could react, a familiar soft glow appeared at the end of the alley. Cora stepped forward, her presence instantly commanding attention. Her silver-blue skin shimmered in the dim light, and her eyes glowed with an intensity that made the two men pause. "Leave them," Cora said, her voice calm but firm. It carried a weight that made the air seem heavier, as if invisible walls had formed around her. The men laughed nervously, unsure if they were being threatened or merely warned. One of them stepped forward, but as soon as he did, a subtle vibration in the air made him stumble. It was not Cora striking him. It was her presence, a power that made hesitation feel impossible to ignore. "Go now," Cora said again, her voice carrying both authority and calm. "You will not find weakness here." The men exchanged uneasy glances, muttering under their breath. Finally, they backed away, disappearing into the shadows from which they had emerged. Mara and Nia let out a collective sigh of relief. Nia turned to Cora, her eyes wide with admiration. You saved us again," she whispered. Cora knelt slightly, bringing herself closer to Nia's level. "You have grown," she said. "Your courage is your strength. Do not forget it." Mara watched, her heart swelling with gratitude and amazement. She realized that Cora's guidance was doing more than teaching survival skills. It was helping Nia believe in herself, and in a city filled with danger, that belief was the most powerful tool of all. After the incident, Cora led them to a quiet park near the river. The sunlight reflected off the water, casting ripples of gold and silver. Here, Cora began the next stage of Nia's training, not just learning to protect herself, but learning to move without fear, to think clearly under pressure, and to trust her instincts. Fear is natural, Cora explained. It tells you when danger is near. But fear is not your master. You control it, not the other way around. Nia listened carefully, nodding. She had faced her first real test of courage, and while her heart had raced, she had stood firm. Now she understood the lesson more clearly. Bravery was not the absence of fear, it was the choice to act despite it. Over the next few days, Cora introduced new exercises. She taught Nia how to observe people carefully, notice unusual movements, and recognize when something felt wrong. She also showed her simple ways to move quickly and quietly through crowded streets, how to use her small size to her advantage, and how to stay alert without panicking. Mara watched closely, sometimes participating, sometimes silently encouraging Nia from the sidelines. She realized that her daughter's transformation was happening not just in skills, but in attitude. Nia no longer saw herself as fragile or weak. She was learning to trust herself and to face the world with quiet confidence. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mara and Nia returned home. The streets were quieter now, bathed in the soft glow of street lamps. Nia walked slightly ahead, her steps confident, her head held high. Mara smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and relief. But as they turned a corner, a faint whisper of movement caught Mara's attention. Shadows shifted unnaturally near an abandoned building. Her heart skipped a beat. Though Nia had grown stronger, Mara knew the city still held unknown dangers. Cora appeared as if from nowhere, her presence calm and commanding. She stood between Mara, Nia, and the shadows. "Stay close," she instructed softly. From the darkness, a small group of figures emerged. They were cautious, but the tension in their movements was clear. Cora's eyes glowed, and a subtle hum of energy seemed to fill the air. The figures stopped, unsure whether to advance. "You have courage," Cora said, her voice carrying across the street. "Use it. Stand firm. The world respects strength and clarity." Nia stepped forward, her small hand brushing her mother's. She felt a warmth in her chest, a feeling she could not explain. It was bravery, yes, but also trust. Trust in herself and in Cora. The figures hesitated, then retreated into the shadows, leaving the street quiet once more. Mara exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of the city's dangers and the strength that Cora had helped nurture in her daughter. As they walked home, Mara realized that the world was changing for them. Not just in danger, but in possibility. Nia's small, fragile self was no longer the only version of her. A stronger, braver version was emerging, one capable of facing the challenges that lay ahead. And Mara knew that with Cora's guidance, this change was only the beginning. The morning sun streamed through the windows, painting Mara and Nia's small apartment in warm gold. Nia had grown used to these mornings, to the quiet hope that seemed to settle in their home after the dangers of the streets. Today, however, Cora had promised something different, a test, a way for Nia to see how much she had truly learned. Mara watched as Nia prepared to leave with Cora. Her daughter's small backpack was slung over one shoulder, her step steady, her eyes determined. Mara felt a mixture of pride and worry. Though Nia had grown braver, the city was still unpredictable, and Cora's lessons had never involved complete separation. "You will be safe," Cora said, her voice calm and steady, sensing Mara's concern. "But Nia must learn to trust her own skills. Courage is strongest when it comes from within." Nia looked up at her mother, eyes bright. "I'll be careful, Mom. I promise." Mara nodded, swallowing hard. "I know you will, Nia. Just remember everything Cora taught you." Cora led Nia toward the outer streets of the city, where the crowds thinned and narrow alleys twisted like a maze. The alien's presence was quiet now, almost a shadow beside Nia, encouraging but not overpowering. Cora wanted Nia to rely more on herself, to see the strength she carried inside. "Today, you will navigate alone for a short time," Cora explained as they reached a secluded street. "I will be nearby, but you will act. Trust your instincts." Nia took a deep breath. Her heart fluttered, but she nodded. She had faced danger before, and though the memory of the shadowed men lingered, it no longer frightened her. This was different. It was her own challenge. "Remember," Cora said softly, "notice everything. Move carefully. Your mind is as important as your body." Nia stepped forward, each footfall deliberate. She glanced around, noticing small details. A pigeon fluttering nervously on a rooftop, the way a breeze shifted a pile of discarded papers, the distant echo of footsteps behind her. Each detail was a signal, a piece of the puzzle she was learning to read. At first, the streets seemed quiet, almost peaceful. But then a sudden noise, metal clattering against metal, echoed from a nearby alley. Nia froze for a moment, then remembered Cora's words. Fear was natural, but it was not her master. She took a slow, steadying breath and moved cautiously toward the source. Peering around the corner, Nia saw a small group of children her age trying to free a trapped kitten from a fallen crate. They looked frightened, unsure, and one boy teetered dangerously on the edge of the crate. Nia realized that the test was not just about danger, it was also about helping others. "Hey!" she called softly. "Be careful!" The children turned, surprised, but Nia didn't hesitate. She moved closer, steadying the boy and helping lift the crate. Her hands were small but steady, guided by the lessons Cora had taught her about calm, action under pressure. The kitten scrambled free, yowling softly, and the children cheered. Nia smiled, her chest swelling with pride. She had acted quickly, safely, and with confidence. This was the courage Cora had spoken of, not fighting danger, but facing it with clarity and kindness. After helping the children, Nia continued down the street. She noticed subtle signs of danger, a loose brick in the walkway, a shadow moving oddly in a doorway, a faint sound of hurried footsteps behind her. Each observation reminded her of Cora's teachings. Awareness was the first step to safety. Suddenly, a narrow street ahead was blocked by a fallen cart. The alley was too tight to pass quickly, and Nia's heart raced. She paused, remembering Cora's advice. Cleverness can be stronger than strength. Looking around, she spotted a side passage just wide enough to slip through. She ducked low, moving silently, and emerged safely on the other side. A soft glow appeared at the street's end. Cora had been watching, ensuring Nia's safety without intervening directly. The alien's eyes met Nia's, filled with pride. Nia felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had done it. She had faced her own challenge, using all the lessons Cora had given her. As they walked back toward Mara, Nia could feel a new confidence in herself. She realized that bravery was not just about facing danger, it was about trust. Trust in her own skills, trust in her instincts, and trust in the kindness she could offer others. When Mara saw them return, she ran to Nia, hugging her tightly. "You did it! You were brave!" she exclaimed, tears in her eyes. Nia hugged back, her small face glowing with pride. I think I understand now. Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about moving forward even when you are." Cora smiled softly, kneeling beside them. "Exactly. And this is only the beginning. Courage grows with experience, with choices, and with trust in oneself." Mara looked at Cora, grateful beyond words. "You've given her more than lessons," she said quietly. "You've given her the strength to believe in herself." Cora's eyes shimmered. She already had the strength. I merely helped it shine. That evening, as the city lights flickered on and the streets quieted, Mara tucked Nia into bed. The little girl's eyes were heavy with sleep, but they shone with a new light, a light of confidence, bravery, and the knowledge that she could face the world. Mara sat beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. "You've grown so much," she whispered. "I'm proud of you." Nia smiled sleepily. "I couldn't have done it without Cora. And you, Mom." Mara kissed her forehead gently. "And remember, this is only the start. There will be more challenges, but you are ready. You are stronger than you know." Outside the window, a soft glow shimmered for a moment before disappearing. Cora had watched from a distance, witnessing the test and the growth it had brought. The alien's heart, in its own quiet way, swelled with satisfaction. The little girl was changing, becoming brave and clever, ready for whatever the city or the universe might bring, and Mara knew one thing clearly. With courage, guidance, and trust in oneself, even the smallest hearts could face the darkest streets and shine brighter than the lights of the city. The city streets had grown quieter in the evening, but Mara knew that quiet often meant hidden dangers. She and Nia had returned from the market, their arms full of groceries, when a sudden chill swept through the air. Nia clutched her mother's hand, sensing the tension even before Mara did. Cora had been nearby, as usual, moving silently, watching, and ready to intervene if necessary. But tonight, she allowed Mara and Nia to navigate the streets mostly on their own. Cora sensed that the challenge ahead would not be solved by her alone. This time, Nia would need to think, act, and protect herself using everything she had learned. As they turned a corner, Mara noticed something unusual. A group of figures huddled near the edge of the street. Their movements were quick and deliberate, and their intentions immediately felt threatening. Mara's heart pounded. She tightened her grip on Nia's hand. Nia, however, did not cower. She straightened her back and looked around carefully, scanning for escape routes and observing the group's behavior. She remembered Cora's lessons. Awareness first, then action. Fear was natural, but hesitation could be dangerous. "Mom," Nia whispered, "we need to stay calm. Let's see what they want before we act." Mara nodded, though her heart raced. She trusted Nia's instincts. They had grown sharper each day, but the sight of danger never failed to make her worry. The figures stepped closer, blocking the path ahead. One of them, slightly taller and wearing a hood that shadowed their face, spoke first. "Give us your supplies and no one gets hurt," they demanded. Mara opened her mouth to respond, but Nia gently tugged at her sleeve. "Wait," she said softly. Her eyes darted to the surrounding area, noting a narrow alley to the side and a pile of discarded crates that could serve as a barrier. Cora appeared in the distance, her glow faint but reassuring. She remained hidden, letting Nia take the lead. The alien knew that this was a pivotal moment. Nia needed to test her courage against real danger, with real stakes. Nia took a deep breath, steadying her racing heart. "We don't want trouble," she said firmly, "but we will not let anyone take what isn't theirs." The group hesitated, surprised by the small girl's bravery. One of them laughed nervously, unsure how to respond. Nia's courage seemed to ripple outward, giving her a presence that was larger than her small size. Using Cora's guidance, Nia quickly assessed the situation. There were 4 people, but their coordination was weak. They moved with confidence at first, but small. Signs of uncertainty appeared, a hesitant footstep, a glance at a partner, a pause in speech. She realized that courage combined with cleverness could outweigh size and numbers. Nia whispered to Mara, "Follow me," quietly. Then, with swift, careful movements, she led her mother toward the alley. They moved silently, stepping over discarded items and avoiding broken glass. One of the figures noticed, shouting in alarm, but Nia was already halfway across the narrow passage. Mara followed, her heart pounding, as Nia guided her through the twists and turns. They ducked behind crates and trash bins, staying out of sight. Nia's mind worked quickly, recalling every technique Cora had taught her: observation, patience, and decisive action. When they reached the end of the alley, Nia found a small, elevated platform, part of an old construction area, that offered a view of the street below. From there, they could see the figures searching for them, confused and frustrated. Nia's small smile hinted at her growing confidence. She had outsmarted them, just as Cora had taught. But Nia knew the challenge wasn't over. The figures might regroup or find another way. She looked at Mara and said, "We need to move quietly and quickly to the main street. There's a safe route I saw before." Carefully, Nia led them toward the main street, moving along shadows and avoiding open areas. The city's evening lights cast long, shifting shadows that seemed to hide them from view. Nia felt a mixture of fear and excitement. It was the first time she had navigated a real threat almost entirely on her own. As they approached the main street, one of the figures spotted them. The taller one shouted, and the group began to pursue. Nia's heart raced, but she did not panic. She guided Mara toward a narrow side street, where Cora had left a faint, glowing marker as a signal. The light shimmered softly, indicating a safe passage. Nia's quick thinking and careful movements allowed them to put distance between themselves and the pursuers. By the time they reached a busy intersection, the group had disappeared, unable to keep up with Nia's strategy and clever navigation. Breathing heavily, Mara hugged her daughter tightly. You did it!" she exclaimed, tears of relief streaming down her face. "You kept us safe." Nia smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. "I remembered everything Cora taught me," she said, "and I stayed calm. I think I can handle more now." Cora appeared from the shadows, her eyes glowing softly. She knelt beside Nia and Mara. "You acted with courage, intelligence, and care," she said. "You have learned the most important lesson. Bravery is not just facing danger, but doing so with a clear mind and a good heart." Mara looked at Cora, grateful beyond words. "You've done more than teach her to survive," she said. "You've shown her how to live bravely." Cora's voice was gentle but firm. "She has always had the strength. She has only learned to trust it." That night, Mara tucked Nia into bed, feeling the weight of the evening still in her chest. Nia lay awake, for a few moments thinking about the events, and then whispered, "Mom, I'm not scared anymore. I feel stronger." Mara kissed her forehead, feeling a warmth that chased away her lingering fear. "You are stronger, Nia, stronger than you realize, and tomorrow will bring new lessons, new chances to grow." Outside, the city lights glimmered, and Cora watched silently, knowing that the little girl had passed another crucial test. Nia's courage had grown, not from size or power, but from clarity, quick thinking, and a heart willing to act with kindness and wisdom. And Mara understood as she watched her daughter drift into sleep that Nia's journey was far from over. The city held more challenges, more opportunities, and more lessons, but with bravery and intelligence, Nia would face them all, changing not only herself, but the world around her. The morning air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of the city's bustling life. Nia awoke with a sense of purpose, her mind buzzing with thoughts of the lessons she had learned and the challenges she had faced. Today, Cora had promised something different, a journey that would reveal more than just courage. It would uncover secrets about the city, about Nia, and perhaps even about the alien protector who had become a part of their lives. Mara noticed her daughter's unusual excitement. "Where are you going today, Nia?" she asked, concern and curiosity mingling in her voice. Nia smiled softly. "Cora says there's something I need to see. Something important. I think it will help me understand why she's here." Mara hesitated. "Be careful, okay? Promise me you won't take unnecessary risks." "I promise, Mom," Nia replied, gripping her small backpack and heading toward the door. Cora waited silently, her presence almost ethereal, radiating quiet strength. They moved quickly through the streets, slipping past crowded markets and narrow alleys. Cora guided Nia toward a part of the city she had never explored, a forgotten district filled with old buildings, crumbling walls, and hidden passages. The air smelled faintly of dust and metal, and faint echoes of the past seemed to whisper through the streets. "This place, it feels different," Nia murmured, glancing around. "Quiet, but alive." Cora nodded. "This district holds truths that are often overlooked. It is here you will learn the deeper lesson, one that goes beyond courage and cleverness. You must see clearly to understand fully." They entered an abandoned building, its walls covered in faded murals and strange symbols. Sunlight filtered through broken windows, illuminating patterns that Nia could barely recognize. Her eyes widened as she noticed the alien designs etched into the walls, designs that seemed similar to Cora's markings. "What? What is this place?" Nia whispered. "This was a meeting place long ago," Cora explained. "Many years." Ego beings from other worlds came here to observe humans. They recorded behaviors, courage, and creativity. They studied the ways humans adapt, survive, and grow. Nia's mind raced. "Are you one of those beings?" Cora's eyes shimmered. "I am. But I am also a friend. I have chosen to help you and your mother because your heart and mind show qualities worth protecting." Nia felt a mix of awe and understanding. She had always known Cora was special, but now she realized just how extraordinary her protector truly was. The alien had not only shielded her physically, but had been guiding her growth in ways she was only beginning to understand. As they moved deeper into the building, Nia noticed a hidden room at the back, its entrance partially obscured by rubble. Inside, holographic images flickered to life, showing scenes of humans in different situations, helping one another, facing danger, showing courage, and making choices that changed outcomes. "These are records of human potential," Cora said, softly. "You see, Nia, humans have a strength that is rare even in the universe. Courage, kindness, intelligence, these traits define your species, and you, little one, carry them in abundance." Nia watched the images, fascinated. She saw children, like herself, acting bravely, adults making clever choices, communities coming together to solve problems. Each scene reminded her of the moments she had faced, protecting herself, helping others, staying calm in danger. I didn't know humans were this strong," Nia whispered. "They are," Cora confirmed. "And that is why I am here, to guide, to protect when needed, and to show you the ways you can grow even stronger. But you must always remember, true strength comes from within, from the heart and the mind working together." Suddenly, one of the holographic images shifted, showing Mara in a scene from a few days ago. Nia gasped. She saw her mother comforting a stranger, helping someone who had fallen in the street. The image emphasized her mother's bravery, patience, and kindness. "Mom?" Nia whispered, realization dawning. "You've been teaching me by example." Mara, standing quietly behind them, smiled. "Yes, Nia, I wanted you to see how small acts of courage and kindness matter. They shape who we are and they guide the choices we make." Cora stepped forward. "You see, Nia, every action leaves a mark. Even when you think it is small or unnoticed, it contributes to the growth of your character and the strength of those around you. Nia felt a warmth spreading in her chest, a deep understanding blossoming. She had thought her challenges were only tests, but now she realized they were lessons in life itself, lessons about awareness, courage, kindness, and intelligence. As they left the abandoned building, Nia noticed the city from a new perspective. The streets that once seemed ordinary now felt alive with possibility. Every person she passed had the potential to act bravely, to make choices that could change the world around them. Cora hovered silently beside her. Remember, Nia, the lessons you have learned are only the beginning. Every day brings new challenges, new opportunities to grow, and new chances to show the strength within you. Nia nodded, her mind brimming with determination. I understand now. I want to keep learning, and to help others like you helped me. Mara held her daughter's hand, feeling proud and humbled. You are already doing it, Nia. Every choice, every act of bravery or kindness makes a difference. That evening, as the sun set and the city lights began to twinkle, Nia felt a deep sense of purpose. She knew that the world was bigger and more complex than she had imagined, but she also knew that she was capable of facing it with courage and wisdom. Cora's glow shimmered softly beside them, a quiet reminder of the alien presence that had changed their lives. But Nia no longer saw Cora as just a protector. She saw her as a guide, a teacher, and a friend who had helped her discover the hidden strengths within herself. And Mara realized something profound as she watched her daughter. Nia was no longer just a child learning to survive. She was becoming a young human capable of extraordinary courage, insight, and kindness, a true reflection of the best qualities of her species. As they returned home, the streets no longer seemed frightening. They were full of lessons waiting to be learned, challenges waiting to be faced, and opportunities to shine brightly, just as Nia had begun to do. In the quiet of their apartment, Mara tucked Nia into bed. You've learned so much, she said softly, and you've grown in ways I can hardly describe. Nia smiled sleepily. I know, Mom. I feel ready for whatever comes next. Cora watched from the corner, her heart filled with satisfaction. The little girl had not only faced danger and learned courage, but she had also begun to understand the deeper truths of life, humanity, and her own potential. And in that moment, the world seemed a little brighter, because one small human had discovered the strength that could change everything, not just for herself, but for everyone around her. The city was quiet before dawn. The streets bathed in a soft golden light that promised a new beginning. Nia stood at the window of her small apartment, looking out at the awakening city. The events of the past weeks had changed her. She no longer felt like a fragile child who needed protection at every turn. She felt strong, aware, and ready to face whatever came next. Cora appeared silently behind her, her glow soft and reassuring. Today is important, Nia, she said. You will face a challenge unlike any before. But you are ready. Nia turned, determination in her eyes. I'm ready, Cora. I've learned so much, and I won't let fear control me. Mara entered the room carrying a warm breakfast. She smiled at her daughter. I see it too, Nia. You've grown so much. Today, you will show the world, and yourself, how brave you can be. Nia nodded, finishing her breakfast quickly. Outside, the streets were coming alive with the usual morning rush, but a tension hung in the air. Something was different. People moved faster, whispered anxiously, and glanced toward the city center. Nia sensed it immediately. Danger was near, but this time it wasn't just for her. It was for the city. Cora led Nia and Mara to the main square, where a large crowd had gathered. In the center, strange mechanical creatures were moving in a coordinated pattern, blocking streets and causing panic. Their design was unfamiliar, alien, yet they moved with precision. It was clear that they were not friendly. Nia felt her pulse quicken, but she did not hesitate. She had faced threats before, small and personal, but now she had to think bigger. She needed to protect more than herself. She needed to protect her city, her mother, and everyone around her. Cora's voice was calm, guiding her. Observe first, then act. Use what you have learned, Nia. Trust your instincts. Nia's eyes scanned the situation. The mechanical creatures moved in patterns that suggested intelligence, but there were weaknesses. She noticed that their movements were slightly slower near the edges, where sunlight reflected off exposed joints. She saw opportunities to distract, evade, and even disable them if she moved carefully. Mara took Nia's hand. Be careful, Nia. Remember, bravery is important, but safety matters too. Nia squeezed her mother's hand, then focused on the task at hand. She whispered to herself, I can do this. Cora hovered beside her, giving subtle guidance. Nia moved through the crowd with quick, precise steps, leading people away from danger and toward safe areas. She shouted instructions clearly, her voice steady and confident. People listened, inspired by the courage of this small girl who seemed larger than life. When a mechanical creature advanced toward a group of frightened citizens, Nia acted. Using a nearby fountain as cover, she lured it into a trap, causing it to stumble over the edge. The creature malfunctioned and fell harmlessly into the water. Cheers erupted from the crowd, giving Nia a boost of confidence. Cora's eyes glimmered. Excellent, Nia. You are thinking creatively and using your intelligence. Courage without strategy is not enough. You have both. The mechanical creatures regrouped, moving faster and more aggressively. Nia knew she needed a plan to stop them completely. She noticed the source of their coordination, a central hub at the top of a nearby tower, glowing with energy. If she could reach it, she could disable the creatures and end the threat. Nia turned to Mara. Stay back, Mom. I can do this. Mara hesitated but nodded. I trust you, Nia. Go. With Cora guiding her from above, Nia climbed the streets, leapt over obstacles, and used her knowledge of the city's alleys and rooftops to reach the tower. Each step tested her courage, but she remembered everything Cora and her mother had taught her. Stay aware, act wisely, and never underestimate your own strength. At the top of the tower, Nia found the control hub. It pulsed with bright, alien light. She studied it carefully, recognizing patterns that mirrored Cora's markings. With focused determination, she touched the control panel, observing how the machinery responded. She discovered a way to disable the creatures safely, one by one, without causing harm to the city or its people. Using her small hands and sharp mind, Nia worked quickly. Lights blinked, machines stuttered, and one by one the mechanical creatures halted. The city watched in amazement as the threat disappeared, leaving no destruction behind. When the last creature powered down, Nia stepped back, breathing heavily, but smiling. She had done it. She had faced a true challenge and emerged victorious, not through strength alone, but through courage, intelligence, and wisdom. Cora appeared beside her, pride shining in her eyes. You have grown into a true protector, Nia. You did not rely on me alone. You acted with heart and mind. And that is what makes you extraordinary. Mara climbed to the top to join them, wrapping her arms around her daughter. I am so proud of you, Nia. You faced fear, danger, and the unknown, and you succeeded. Nia felt a new sense of confidence and purpose. She realized that strength was not just about fighting or defending, it was about understanding, helping, and inspiring others. She had changed, but she had also helped change the world around her. The city below celebrated, unaware of the full extent of Nia's bravery, but she did not need their recognition. She knew her own courage, and that was enough. As the sun rose, higher, bathing the city in light, Nia looked at Cora. "Thank you," she said softly. "For everything." Cora smiled, her glow warm and gentle. "The strength was always within you, Nia. I only helped you see it." Mara held her daughter's hand tightly. "And now you can face anything, Nia. Life will bring challenges, but I know you will meet them with the same courage and wisdom you showed today." Nia looked out over the city, feeling hope, pride, and determination. She had grown from a frightened child into a confident young protector, ready to embrace her role in the world. The lessons she had learned, the courage, intelligence, and kindness would guide her for the rest of her life. And in that moment, the city seemed brighter, safer, and more alive. Because one small human had discovered the extraordinary strength within herself, and through that strength, she had changed not only her own life, but the lives of everyone around her. As Mara and Nia descended from the tower, the people began to notice, slowly realizing the courage of a small girl who had saved the city with intelligence, bravery, and a kind heart. Cora followed silently, proud of the transformation she had witnessed. Nia knew that challenges would come again, but she was ready. She had faced fear, danger, and the unknown, and had discovered the power to change the world with her own two hands. And that was just the beginning.